All right. I'm mostly addressing people listening after the fact. Welcome, everyone, to the third watching of a Friday the 13th with me, Nate. We're going to wait probably 5 to 10 minutes, just like with the first movie, to have some people show up and get ready first. The tentative plan is, if I'm feeling like it at the end of Friday the 13th, part 3, to stop and restart another stream and do final chapter tonight, possibly as well. When I did the Friday 13th, it was just someone requested me to do the second one that night. It was just a fluke, and it worked out fine. And my intention is to do the first 7 movies before the summer's over. So it's like, well, that would be more easily achievable if you were to do 2 a night after all. So we'll see about doing part 3 and final chapter tonight. I'm seeing 2 people, might be me and someone else. Welcome. Probably wait until 5 or 10 minutes into this particular can't really call it a video. This particular audio. Looks like Iron Rooster's here. He says, I missed the first 2 commentaries. Oh, you mean live? Because I was going to say you had three weeks to listen to them. You mean live. Welcome, Iron Rooster. Just a heads up, I'm not going to be doing too much reading of chat during the actual viewing of the movie. So if anyone's used to the radio show where I basically read everyone's comment, it'll be a little different. He says I still need to watch them, or listen to them more like, because there's nothing to see. But I hear you. We're just going to wait maybe a little while for people to show up and potentially get ready. If this is the first one anyone's listening to, but basically the way I do it to avoid any copyright is I'm not showing obviously anything, and you're not going to hear any of the audio on my end. My recommendation would be to queue up the movie on your end, Friday the 13th, part 3, and watch it along with me. If you know it well enough by heart, you probably don't even have to play it. You can just know what I'm talking about as I talk about stuff. Throughout the movies, I tend to do some lines and this and that, and splats during kills and stuff to get you guys in sync and keep you in sync throughout the course of the movie. If you want to watch the movie along with it now or after the fact. Yeah, we're about 3 minutes into this particular stream. I say wait until 10 minutes in, and we can start the Friday the 13th, part 3 in 3D. I'm watching it in 2D this evening, but I am fortunate enough to actually be able to watch this in 3D. The new Scream Factory disc from last year. I just wish that all of the Friday fans could watch the Scream Factory, the actual 3D Blu-ray in 3D. Fake Shemp's here. He says, I'm here, just finished making Coco. Very cool. Yeah, we're probably going to wait like 6 more minutes to start it. Get your Blu-rays in your players if you're going to watch along. Thanks for showing up. I can only assume I'm audible. I'm hearable. So far, the first 2 for my channel have done pretty well in 3 weeks. One is over 100 views, and the other one's close to 100 views. So for my what's it called, puny channel, those are pretty good views. So the intention always was to pretty much do the first 7 movies before the summer was over, regardless of how they did. But it doesn't hurt that the views or the listens are going pretty well on them. I'm seeing a hitchhiker. Thank you very much. Iron Rooster says, sound great. Taboo says, yeah, sounds great. So just out of curiosity, are you guys going to be playing the movie along or just sitting there and eating Cocoa Puffs and cocoa and just listening? Seeing 2 hitchhikers. Thank you very much. I'm seeing 3 people here, probably just you guys and myself. Or you 2 and myself. Yeah, Gary Page says, he's in the UK and he said too late for him. He can't make it. That's regrettable. I like doing these at night, these movie watchings. So I just don't tend to, even being a huge movie fanatic, I don't tend to watch movies during the day very much unless it's the winter time. So it is regrettable that, we're doing these too late for anyone in the UK or across the pond to listen live. But, after the fact is pretty much the same. Fake Shimp says he's playing it along and really like the soundtrack in part 3 might be my favorite of the series. Rooster says, I might just sit back and relax. I may pop it in at some point, though. He asks if I watched anything new before we get started. I've recently seen for the very first time and bought the Blu-ray of, I just reviewed it today, shot a review of it today, Offerings from 1989. I recently got that Blu-ray. Well, I got the Blu-ray quite a long time ago, but I watched it for the second time and reviewed it today. And I got the King Kong 76 Blu-ray. I didn't want to pay freaking $28, so I waited, and it went on sale for like $20. And I'm like, give me that. And I got that. And I also recently got the Scream Factory Blu-ray of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 for $20. I waited like 3 years for that to come down to $20. And it might have come down to 20 before, but it's the first time I've seen it for $20. So I scooped up Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 Blu-ray for $20. And it's ironic because the commentaries and the interviews, it's actually worth, or so cool to hear Eric Freeman, it's actually worth $30. But I don't like being price gouged. Yeah, Hell of the Living Dead. I want to say Summerhill didn't like that movie very much. Yeah, 2018 is, in the release of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 on Blu-ray was really kind of some of the beginning of just the gouging. And I'm like, God, I ain't going to pay upwards of $30 for this movie on Blu-ray. And I stuck to my guns. 3 years later, I got it for $20. And, I didn't think King Kong 76 is really worth upwards of $30. So I got that for 20 as well. And that Blu-ray might actually be worth upwards of $30 because their presentation of the TV cut is pretty remarkable. And the footage, I'll do a proper review of these titles I'm talking about in the coming days, weeks. But the TV footage, I mean, it looks identical to the rest of the movie. It's not like it goes down in quality, visual quality. It's really remarkable, the TV cut. And I mean, the quality of it. I don't really like the TV cut because it's longer than it needs to be and scenes are doubled or tripled in length. But it was cool to be able to get those titles for cheaper. Okay, I see a taboo about Demons 1 and 2. That's cool. Like I said, I don't think I've seen the first one. Yeah, my Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 came with the slip as well. Slip cover. All right, well, we're approaching 10 minutes in here. Are we, I'm seeing, well, I saw 4, now it's back down to 3. Shall we get the party started? I think Taboo's the only one right now who's going to start the movie with me, and Iron Rooster might get the movie in or not at a later time. I get the thumbs up from Spake Shemp. All right, let's do it. Let's let you know what I'm seeing when I see it. Okay, so let me shut the window before we get started. Okay, everyone. So, basically playing right about now. I'll let you guys know, okay, Paramount logo. For the first time in the Friday the 13th series, we've got the wider Panavision situation because of the 3D. Paramount logo fades out and we see Paramount Pictures Presents. Then we see Jason Incorporated, Frank Mancuso Jr. production. A Steve Miner film as we begin the second Friday the 13th sequel. And in my opinion, unlike the second one did a cool thing where it integrated shots of new footage and stuff of Adrienne King dreaming with the end of the first movie footage. Whereas this one, I always felt that it was the beginning of part 3 was kind of lazy in its handling of the end of part 2 by basically just showing it more or less as is. But I guess, what the hell, the whole scene as it's shown is fine. But I kind of regard it as being a little bit lazy. And what's funny about this now, in seeing the footage from Friday 13th Part 2 in this ratio, is I grew up seeing these movies on VHS in the 90s, and I haven't seen the VHS or Laserdisc full frame version of any of these movies for a long time. But my recollection is on Part 2, you very well might be able to see more on the top and bottom than the widescreen versions, because I can remember when at the end of 2 when she dropped his hood that you could see it fall out of her hand. And I don't think you can see that on the Blu-ray, the widescreen versions of Friday 13th Part 2, which means it might be the matted widescreen. And if that's the case, the irony about the Part 2 footage at the beginning of 3 is we're cutting even more off the top and bottom of Part 2 to fit it in this new Part 3 widescreen image. So it's like when you watch the VHS of the beginning of Friday the 13th Part 3, you're looking at the footage of Part 2 cropped on all 4 sides. It's absolutely absurd because it's cropped top to bottom to make it the Panavision wider ratio. And then obviously it's cropped side to side because it's pan and scan wider ratio. So you're like seeing the very middle of the screen of the end of Friday 13th Part 2. If you play, the Blu-ray of the end of Part 2 and the Blu-ray of the beginning of Part 3 side by side, it'll, you're missing stuff on the top and bottom. Obviously these days it's hard to get the like VHS or 80s VHS or Laserdisc version of it to do that experiment, but that's something that's funny. You can see, like Betsy Palmer's head there, it's cut off, and same with Amy Steele right here a little bit. It's just not the way it was shot. They cut off the top and bottom to fit it on here. Ginny! Dun 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 dun. Ooh! But yeah, generally when I watch, especially when I watch after the 3D Blu-ray came out last year, and when I watch Part 3 in 3D, I don't even really necessarily watch the end of Part 2 anymore because I watch them generally in order, and I just recently had, seen the end of Part 2. So especially when I do it in 3D on the new 3D Blu-ray, I pretty much just start it with the opening credits. Now here's, from what I understand, in the lab, I don't know if I mentioned this on my part 2 viewing, but because of the blood, they had to, in the lab, change the color of this or whatever to make the blood less red or whatever, to not get an X or however that goes. So this shot, when he gets impaled or chopped with the machete, the color looks green, slightly green. And then we see that shot of him on the ground, and cutting back to that shot, you see how it's just the color looks more natural all of a sudden. So I'm pretty sure in the full frame, VHS version of the 80s, when she came up into the shot with the guy in the shot and dropped Jason's hood, you could see it fall out of her hand. And obviously, because, you can't see it here because it's like double cropped. So having seen, the 3D Blu-ray that came out last year, I was kind of disappointed because this is all 2D, which one would expect. And the very first 3D shot is the shot, of course, which is the first new shot of part 3 that was filmed here, right here, of Brooker wearing the part 2 garb and dropping the machete chink on the ground. This shot's actually in 3D, which I don't really necessarily agree with, because then you go back to the 2D footage here. For me, in my opinion, that Brooker shot should have been 2D. So that way, when this is 2D, when you watch the 3D version of the Blu-ray that came out last year, and then we zoom into the head, freeze frame, and then the 3D pops right the hell out of there and goes and murders your eyes if you're watching this in 3D. And so that was kind of a bummer. It's not a big deal, of course, but I was surprised that first shot of him dropping the machete was in 3D. So, in my opinion, and this is just me, I'm not the biggest fan of the music that's playing right here, which you can't hear on my channel and my audio. I'm not the biggest fan of Disco Friday 13th. And some listeners might be disappointed by that. I just love what Harry Manfredini does when he does it in the franchise, when he does it seriously. And obviously, when you're going for like a 3D extravaganza, you kind of really want to mainstream it, I guess. And at the time, disco, how more can we mainstream it than disco? I'm not crazy about it's fun from a goofy aspect, but every time I see the opening credits of 3, I just as soon just hear serious music. But that's just a little gripe. Taboo says it would have been cool if they would have shot the whole end of part 2, or reshot the whole end of part 2 in 3D. Yeah, that would have been kind of cool. Talk about a expensive and a proposition. Rooster says he thinks he has a CD with that disco theme somewhere. Lucky you. So here we start now with the Camp Crystal Lake, whatever the hell it's called, and the optical lightning, which actually works pretty good. Lightning done most likely in post-production there. Crystal Lake store. And doing a Luma crane shot here into the part of the, I guess they probably live here and have a store, but all in one here. Clink, clink. God damn it, Harold. I spent all day yesterday washing your clothes. Look what you're doing to them. Yeah, 3D pull in your face. Jerk. There's director Steve Miner on the TV giving the news report. Like I said, I'm watching this stuff in 2D, but I can. I've seen the 3D disc now like 3 times, I think, and I can, as I'm watching this stuff in 2D, I can still remember what this stuff looks like in 3D, and it's pretty fun, especially this little antenna thing into your eyes there. This is pretty funny how you have this shot of the end of Friday 13th Part 2. If you look at the background, everything except for what's happening on screen is a blatant freeze frame of the TV and the surroundings, but people aren't really looking there. So that's kind of funny. Okay, here's Richard Brooker's very first appearance in Jason Part 2 garb. And somehow, from his trip from whatever, Crystal Lake to here, he stopped at the barber in between. Oh, Versimilitude 86 is here. Welcome. He said, I've always dug the disco theme. That's perfectly cool. He says, hey guys, first time I've got to catch a live show in ages. Yeah, I'm doing these watching Friday 13th and kind of instead of taking a break from the show, because I'm just taking a break from the show. So we're doing these watching Friday 13th. I want to do all 7 of them this summer. So Jason found a spot to change up his wardrobe. It makes you wonder, frankly, I wonder whose decision it was to get Jason out of his frickin' Part 2 garb and change clothes. But now Jason's, basically changed into his classic garb of, what he wears in this movie and final chapter and the visions of Jason and in New Beginning. And I guess pretty much he's more or less wearing these same clothes, although they're pretty rat tattered by the time you get to 6 and 7. But here's the guy sampling some fish food and loving it until he reads the ingredients, which says Dayfly eggs. Hey. Now this shot in 3D is insane. This counter or whatever, the produce there, just right in front of your face in that one shot. And here it is too, this stuff in the foreground in 3D. It's just amazing how well it works. Now, Versimilitude, I'm not going to be, unlike the radio shows, I'm not going to be reading every freaking chat comment and looking a whole hell of a lot at chat, just to give you a heads up. But welcome. Yeah, Rooster says the crane tipped over during filming at one point. Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing that too. And Taboo says Dayfly eggs with the tears coming out of his eyes. Dreet, 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 dreet. I'm trying to remember this dialogue. She says it so fast. What are we going to do with you? And would you put that filthy animal back where it belongs? Come on. I'm trying to keep you guys synced if you're watching along with me. And here Harold's got to in spite grab the donut again and go, move. I'll show her. Do we ever know her name? She looks like a Myrtle. I can't remember if we ever know her name. Hey, what you so nervous about, huh? I think this guy has a fake stomach. I don't think this guy has a big a gut as is portrayed in this movie. I think he's just got a pillow in his stomach. Now he sees the little cage of rabbits. Who would do something like this? It's so funny when they put in the scary music for something that's not even Jason. It's the rattlesnake. Where's that other needle? Now, the sound effects here of Harold's, is it called defecating? I want to say it's called defecating, are a little too realistic for my taste. And I don't even want to know where the sound came from. It might have come from somewhere I don't want to know about. But it might be some of the most realistic defecating sounds in a movie ever. Now, look at his stomach. That's definitely like a pillow there. Now, what's so funny is, he doesn't wipe. And we're going to cut to a high shot of He doesn't wipe or flush. And we're going to cut to a high shot. Where the hell is it? Yeah, it's here. But once we pan back, we'll see like nothing in the toilet, which is just not very good continuity. And I think this is might be the only Friday the 13th where there's two basically toilet scenes in one movie. As you can see, there's absolutely nothing in the toilet, maybe not even water, which is kind of funny. But this scene, I kind of always, I just don't understand. I guess they had to have this happen to give Jason his new wardrobe. This scene, although I actually love it because it's just such like filler. It's just so blatantly like just to eat up time kind of thing. But you gotta love it. Harold doesn't have much more time left on the planet at all. Now we kind of understand now why he's been wearing this fake chest this whole time. Harold? Yeah. Taboo mentioned something about that orange juice you take a drink out of and put it back. Yeah, that's nasty shit. It's just like, make sure when you buy stuff it's sealed because Harold might have taken a sip out of it. Chin, 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 chin. Here's a 3D rat. They threw everything at you that they could think of in this movie. 3D rat, 3D knitting needles. Here's a 3D red-eyed rat coming at you. And then, now if you watch the 3D version, I never noticed until then, but the needle right there is coming further and further out of the screen. And I never noticed that until the new 3D Blu-ray that came out last year. But the needle, as she's dying there, is coming further and further out towards the camera before the fade out, or does it fade to white? I don't remember, even though I just saw it. Now, we introduce here for the very first time Chris and the final girl, Chris, and which in my opinion in the first four, well, maybe even God, I don't know. We'll just say in my opinion, the first four movies is just the all-around best-looking final girl. I'm more partial to brunettes, and I think Chris is just the all-around best-looking final girl. In my opinion, we got Shelley. These guys are apparently maybe they're roommates. Yeah, look, Shelley, you're my roommate, and I like you most of the time, but you got to quit doing them things. I got you a date, didn't I? Didn't I? Yeah. So don't embarrass me. Just relax. Be yourself. Would you be yourself if you looked like this? Yeah, I got that a little off, but poor Larry Zerner, apparently, from how the story goes, was just found he was like some doorman, and maybe producer or someone who was going to make this movie thought he would be the perfect Shelley. One thing that I've been realizing this year, watching all these movies over and over, and in particular Part 3, is in my opinion, 3 might have the all-around most attractive slew of women out of all the the 80s Friday the 13th. It's very possible. Like, even like all the women, all the main character women, in my opinion, are basically wonderfully attractive. And I can't really be said, in my opinion, for like 1 and 2 and even 4. I mean, 4 kind of carries on the tradition, but I mean 3, it's just like, I don't know. I apologize, guys. I can see the chat in the corner of my eye going up. I'm just trying to watch the movie. Is that all? All you gotta do this weekend? Smoke dope? I can't think of anything. else to do. Now there it's established that in fact that character, I can't think of her name right now. It's a Debbie, is actually with child, which is she's basically a double kill when she's killed. And at least the character of Debbie is does show, even though you've got this early '80s horror movie with people smoking pot and stuff, at least she's is showing that she's conscious of trying to eat and stay clean with what she puts in her on her lips or in her lips or whatever, which is admirable. She's not going to eat the pot because she's with child. So that's, you got to give the movie that. And any of the haters of the franchise should, or horror movies in general, have to give that some props. And this, of course, is a funny joke where they're eating all this pot because they don't want to get caught by the cops. So this is the very first Friday the 13th that was shot in California, as can be evidenced there. It's quite evident. And I think, more power to them. They don't have to keep filming these movies in the fall and where it's freezing and stuff. Although later on, I think you do see at nighttime scenes breath from characters, which is just frustrating because the older I get and the more I watch these movies, it's like all these, I don't remember seeing when I was younger, I didn't see all this breath in these Friday 13th movies that are taking place during the summer and stuff. And it's just like, as I'm older, it's like, God damn it, you can see breath like on every single Friday 13th at night. And it's so, then I got to thinking the other day, the irony of the fact that Halloween was filmed like with nothing but green leaves, the original movie, one of the first two movies that are supposed to take place in the Midwest on, October 31st. Halloween's got nothing but green leaves. And meanwhile, the Friday 13th films are supposed to be in the summer. And, once you get to the end of like the first couple movies, you can see the blatant leaves turning and stuff. So it's just like Halloween should have brown leaves and they're green, and the first couple Friday 13th should have green leaves and they're brown at the end. But that's one of the benefits of filming in California, as from what I understand, 3 and 4 did. And 5, I think 5 as well. And 6, I think, went to, well, I don't know, somewhere else. Incidentally, me and my dad went to California in 2010, and I've tried to find the shooting ranch. For some reason, it didn't occur to me that it was going to be someplace you couldn't just drive in. I think we found it, and I was kind of pissed off that it's like we got to the gate, and it's like, well, unless you've got an appointment to get in, you're not going to get in. But I think we found. Did I say shooting ranch? Whatever the hell the name of this place is that they filmed this, I don't know if it's the shooting ranch or not. That might be the Bill Rebane place. That's probably the Bill Rebane place. Whatever the name of this place was. And it was just recently announced on whatchamacallit, Friday 13th Films dot whatever the hell it is it com? Or Friday 13th franchise.com, that they're, for those of you who don't know, this building was purported to have been burned down by fans who went into the site and tried to start a fire in the fireplace, and it wasn't a functional fireplace, I guess, or something like that. And they burned down the house from this movie. So from what I understand, it's just been recently announced that they're going to rebuild it, which I think is both cool and lame at the same time, because it's like, it's cool that they're going to try to recreate the place, but at the same time, it's like, well, it's not ever going to be the place. So it's kind of cool and kind of stupid at the same time. Once again, I saw the chat. I haven't looked at chat for a while, but in the corner of my eye, I saw it creep up, and I apologize that I'm not really looking at chat, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, Chris you gotta love that face. Chrissy, one of the characters at the very beginning of the movie, he says, Chrissy, how far to the lake? So it's like Chrissy. You just hear Chrissy once, I think. And here is, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Paul Kratka or whatever, as the hunky lumberjack guy who's just wants Chris for one reason. I mean, just imagine if you showed this movie to a woman from, a younger woman from 2021. She'd think this guy is just deplorable. Oh my God. There's only so many cold showers I can take. Come outside and help me with the bags. That's my attempt to get you guys synced up if you're trying to watch after the fact. But yeah, I've been basically exclusively watching the Scream Factory Blu-rays since they came out, even of part 1 and 2. I know in my review of 1, I said I didn't know if I was gonna, I might do half new one and half old one. But I've been watching the Fridays like crazy this year, the spring and summer, and exclusively the Scream Factory discs, of course. And the first 4 look so beautiful, and it would have been so perfect. It would have been so amazing if they could have done 5, 6, and 7 new 4K scans as well, but take what you can get. I'm not skinny enough. It's yours for the weekend. Great. I think this is the very first time Chris gets a look at the suspicious goings on out there in the barn. Doesn't get a look at anyone but just the door closing itself. Now, from what I understand, Tracy Savage is is 18 here, which is just yummy. I feel like such a pervert, but she's a lot older than I am, so I don't know why I gotta feel like a pervert. Why not? There's the old hammock bed, which is a clear setup. Look at, you can tell it's the early 80s. He's got a guitar. Now, if any of you haven't seen the actual 3D version on the 3D Blu-ray that came out, this hay bale, I gotta tell you, works magnificently, and all the little hay that comes off it right here, it really works magnificently. I just feel so bad for you guys who can't experience this, the actual the newer 3D Blu-ray that was released. And I felt bad when I did my review about it. And as you can see, every time I talk about the new 3D Blu-ray, I just feel rotten that you all can't experience. Jesus Christ, what am I, from the South? All of you can't experience the 3D Blu-ray. But right here, you can, those, obviously that rope there that's in the foreground is very much so in the 3D version. Oh man, I'm sorry guys. You guys are probably saying such cool things. I just glanced at chat. I'm sorry for not being able to really look at chat. But if I concentrate on chat, my attention. What are you talking about? Now this scream here, I wonder who did this scream right there that she's reacting to. It is the most goofiest scream. I don't, I hope that Larry Zerner didn't do that scream, because it's just the funniest randomness, frickin' generic scream. Like, oh, it's so funny. And if you can see the 3D version, those stairs, when she goes up the stairs, they're right there in the foreground, right in front of you. And but the anaglyph version is available to all, of course, and that definitely does give you the idea. But I mean, it's nothing like the new 3D version. Is everybody in there? That was a little late. She kicks it, door open right now, just to get you guys in sync. Yeah, I can, even though I'm not listening to the sound, I can in my mind, I can hear Harry Manfredini's music right here. And God, I love his contribution to the series, and he made the series so much greater than it would have been otherwise. So here we go. Oh, Shelley's dead. Oh. And so I bet people in the audience, when this first came out, have said, finally, I hated this character. I'm glad he's dead already. Little do they know what's to come here. Don't touch him. Get up. I guess I fooled you, huh? Jerk. Leave it alone. He doesn't know anybody. It was a joke. I didn't mean to. You never mean to. Now look at in the mirror. That mirror. Look at the vision in that mirror. That's so perfectly placed. Yeah, it's gone already. But that mirror was perfectly placed to see someone's behind. Now, I don't know if Steve Miner has a thing about VW bugs, but in both of his Friday 13th movies, there's a VW bug. So I can only assume it's Steve Miner being the VW bug enthusiast or something. And yeah, he's a little thick there. So in the old days, I regarded out of the first four movies, I regarded part three as my fourth favorite. Like the first one was my favorite, final chapter, then two, and then three. And in recent months, like since this collection came, I don't know if it's because I've been able to see it in the actual 3D or what, but I've actually really started to like part three more than two lately. And a lot of it has to do with probably the new 3D disc, and also just realizing, that all the women are pretty yummy in part three, and those things combined with, I guess, each other or something. We don't accept no food stamps. I said that a little early. Shelly, I need some money. Oh, I said that early too. Wallet hits ground. Click. Now here we go. We're going to introduce 3 characters to kill. Excuse me, I think that's my wallet. I got that wrong. Where is it? Make a wish. Can I buy you 2 boys of beer? I'll take that now. Is this your rubber? Did your mama teach you manners? If you want something, you ask. Nice. I mean, look at is her name Vera? I mean that is like a really cute girl, and like very little makeup. Like compare the women in this movie to that god awful reboot with just plastic tits, and oh my god. Like, she probably got some makeup, but it's minimal, it doesn't look like makeup. And I don't know what the deal is with that Christmas snow kind of stuff in the store. Maybe they filmed this around Christmas. I don't know why it looked on the wall there in the store. There's like a Christmas theme, but it might be filmed in December. I'm not too up on my Friday 3 facts and trivia. Looks like we probably have maybe three of you guys here, kind of steady. Thank you very much for showing up once again. I apologize. I'm really not looking at chat. And there is Ali with his big, huge beer, I'm assuming. Look at how cute she is there. Oh my God. Clink. Oh shit. Oh shit is right. Let's get out of here. Oh no. Hold on. Now here you can hear, if you listen to the sound, that there's this, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 second loop of the bug just running, that they just loop over and over right here. You can tell it's a clear loop if you pay attention. Oh, looks like everything's going to be okay after all. Oh yeah. 3D fist full of chain coming right at you. Oh God. One thing I do love about the new Scream Factory box set is 3 looks, pretty great compared to how it used to. So there. Shit. I did it. Did I do it? Yes, you did it. You were great. That was great. You son of a bitch! You better come back here, you bastard! You ain't getting away with this! God damn it! I'm gonna get you!" Oh, okay. Speaking of 3D version, I wish you guys could see this in the actual 3D, but the anaglyph version does give you the basic idea. But this is all the exercise I need. The 3D yo-yo. The lurker in the barn. What happened to them? What happened to your windshield, man? We had a slight something with the motorcycle. Yeah, but Shelly made him see the error of their ways, didn't you, Shell? It was nothing. We got the hippie couple. My poor car, what'd you do to it? Yeah, well, we're really sorry, but it wasn't our fault. Oh my God. Where are you going? Away from here? Stay with me. Why should I? You don't play fair, do you? Get in. You can see the camera and the crew right there in the reflection of the car. Jason's just biding his time. When should I pounce? No, this little conversation is funny. Oh, come on. We'll be all alone. We can do whatever we want. No one will see. I love that freaking dialogue. It's so great. And then his response, "It sounds disgusting. Let's go." Taboo appreciates my yeah, I kind of just did that on the spur of the moment, like Shelly in a high pitched voice and Vera's got a lower voice. Yeah, it just came to me naturally. I'm like, let's just let's do the Shelly with a higher pitched voice than Vera because it just seems right. Okay, now can you imagine a guy cooler than this guy? Look at how cool he looks. Imagine doing a figure with that guy with the hose around his neck and the sunglasses and the cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Oh my God. Does this guy have a name? I think he's got a name because it's Fox. Oh, he's Loco. The white guy's Loco in Ali and Fox. Okay. So imagine a figure set, NECA figure set with these three. That'd be great. I still think, I don't know when I talked about it, if I talked about it on my watching part one, but I still think, if NECA got into the victims of the franchise, those would sell just as much, maybe not as much as the Jason figures, but I think they'd be pretty popular as well if they sold victims. Now, what's funny here, if you look at Fox's jewelry, I think it was a kind of a popular thing back then for, people, because the jewelry they're wearing is like probably from the early 20th century or something like that. It's like really, at the time, this is probably their grandma's jewelry. And what's funny about, some of the stuff Fox is wearing here is it's very similar to the stuff like Alice was wearing in the first movie, like that bracelet. I don't know if Alice was wearing that bracelet, but it's just something I kind of noticed as I've been obsessively watching these movies this spring and summer. But yeah, so clink, 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 clink. Yeah, Rooster agrees. He thinks that would be an awesome figure set. Yeah, the Ali, Fox, and Loco. I mean, if they sold every, take the first four movies, make every freaking, maybe not every victim, but the main characters. Not like the fat woman on the side of the road in Final Chapter per se, because she's got such little screen time. But start with the the bigger characters. Didn't. Shit. Who's up there? I said the line early, but this shot in 3D is really cool because the floor of the second, anyway, you can tell why. By the time I finish explaining it, the movie will be over, but that shot's cool in 3D. Clink. Take this in the barn and stop porn and find Fox. Look at how hilarious this guy is. So he's sneaking around in broad daylight by just, I think they filled that thing a little too much because you can tell it's really heavy. Woo! Woo! What the hell are you doing? Get off that thing. This feels good. Yeah, I got the line a little. Oh, he's gonna be pissed. He sees you screwing around. Come on. We got shit to do. Taboo says you'd have to do part 5 with the Ethel and Junior set. Exactly. Yeah, I mean the victim figures, I think they would sell. I think they'd sell because fans of these movies are just that. They're fans of the movies. They don't, they'll buy anything. And in a way, I almost feel like victim figures would, we've got a lot of Jason figures for a lot of years now, 20 years of Jason figures. I think, the more I think about it, the victim figures, I mean, I don't know if I could say they'd sell better than Jason, but since we've had so many Jasons and little to no victim figures, I have a feeling that they might sell depending on, which fans like which characters the most and stuff. But you're absolutely right. Ethel and Junior. I mean, just now how cool is it now? Where the reveal of Fox's demise here. This is just so cool, and in 2D even. Just how they have her rigged up. It looks like she's like it's a snuff movie, and she's killed for real. And in 3D, that works obviously really well, where that thing is poking right out at you. And then 3D pitchfork. Let's make sure it's coming out my back. Yep, I'm in bad shape. Smoking will kill you. And so will a pitchfork through your stomach. Oh, okay. Rooster needs to have Junior's motorcycle also. All right. Well, it'll cost you. That guy won't make it cheap. What you guys doing up there? You hear me talking to you? That's quite the stunt now. I don't know if I can only assume that was a stuntman that fell on him, but I think the guy that caught him I don't know if he was a stuntman or the actor who plays this guy the whole time, but that was kind of a stunt. Fox! He's like hoping his woman ain't dead. He don't care about Loco, but okay, 3D machete. If I find you, you bastard, you're a dead man. Oh, shit! Well, for the longest time, I didn't know what the hell was happening here, but I don't think it was until I got like a part 3 figure that came with the wrench that I actually figured out what he was using on him here. He's just clunking him on the head, I guess, with the wrench. One of them old heavy wrenches. So, it would have been nice to, I guess, seen what they were doing in the water, but that's another movie, I guess. We haven't been in the bar. Hey, come on, Debbie. How about a roll in the hay? Go play with yourself. I'm going inside. it's funny because I watched this movie and I can still remember how some of the pan and scan shot worked. Like they had to do that shot in two separate shots where they cut from Jason's, arm over to him and then back to Jason's arm. Like I'm just so glad the pan and scan days are over. So obviously the trend that was basically started in the second film with the great majority of the counselors in training and the final girl and the final guy going off to the bar so everyone can die back at the location. That trend began kind of with 2 and pretty much kept going obviously with 3 and 4 and 5 and really 6. Pretty much all those movies where the main characters aren't at the location where everyone's dying. So the main characters are off and having a dramatic moment there. And once again in 3D, this is just lovely. And I didn't mention yet, obviously the first movie is about Camp Crystal Lake, and the second movie is about taking place on the same lake, but the other side of the lake at the counselor training center by the name of, it always escapes me, Packanack, or whatever the hell it's called. So I haven't addressed yet that this movie is the first one of this franchise that is just like, well, hell with Crystal Lake. We've done that twice. So now we'll just have it take place at someone's basically, freaking farm, lake house, whatever the hell this is. What's more of a pond house. But it's someone's just private country residence, which, I mean, I guess you can't blame them after doing the whole Crystal Lake thing twice. But now we're Higgins Haven, and it's like Chris Higgins' family's, frickin' property, country farm, or maybe not farm, but property out in the country, and a barn and a house. And I like you a lot. I was thinking that maybe we could. I don't think so. This movie does kind of paint men as being just sex crazed pigs, doesn't it? Well, at least it got something right. Once again in 3D, these lights here and these pillars just look amazing. I'm not watching it. If anyone's joining just now, I'm not watching it in 3D. But I can remember what some stuff looks like in 3D. And so does this look cool, like being able to see in there, but also the window stuff and the window frame in the foreground. It's just really cool. It's just a treat. But if nothing else, you guys, have access to the anaglyph version, which definitely gives you an idea. It'd be impossible for me to watch the whole freaking. There's no way I could watch the whole movie in the anaglyph. Now in pan and scan, this looked funny when Larry Zerner turns around, because they only showed the guy in the pan and scan version. So basically, in the pan and scan version, Larry Zerner is turning around and sees this guy with no shirt on, and it's just kind of funny. One of the things that I can remember, the pan and scan version. I think that the way this scene starts was really funny. Like, how do we do it? Well, first we take our clothes off, and then you could get on top of me, or I could get on top of you. That was just so funny. So, I guess one thing that I don't love about Friday the 13th Part 3 is how you have this character who's got like I don't know, I guess it's not a big deal, but it's, this Chris character, of course, has this backstory with Jason that if we're seeing this movie for the first time now, which I hope none of us are, because you should watch it. I don't imagine any of us are seeing it for the first time, but when someone does see it for the first time, they're just now learning about her backstory with who we can only assume is Jason. I mean, when we see the shots, but as a hardcore fan, it's kind of like, okay, so when did this take place? Because did this take place before the events of part two? Because he's not in his part two garb and he's not in his part three garb, so this must have happened before the events of part two. And if so, he's got no hair here, and then he's got hair in part two, and they just to hell with continuity, I guess. But I guess their thinking is, as they do these movies one by one, they probably think no one cares about continuity in these kind of slasher movies. But I don't know, I think you know continuity is important, but they probably thought that these movies are just gonna be released, and they have their day in the theater, and then they just fade away and be forgotten, so they probably didn't really care too much. But this is the Chrissy giving her memories of her run-in with Jason, apparently, and one can only assume it's pre-part two, because he's not in his part two garb. He's got no hood. It's almost like part three garb that's all rat tattered or something. It does look like almost, yeah, it does look like part three clothes in a way. I mean, obviously, this happened like 2 or 3 years ago. It's just so goofy. Like, at least have him in the part two gear. I see you guys are chatting among yourselves as I quickly glance at chat. That's cool. I wish that's the one downside. Initially, when I thought about doing these watching movies things, initially I wasn't going to have chat because I wasn't going to be really looking at it much. But I'm like, well, maybe you guys can talk amongst yourselves. What's so funny about this? And I guess the thing that bothers me about her whole story is it's just like she blacks out, and when she wakes up, she's in her own bed. Like, what the hell is that about? Like, Jason took her home. I mean, it's just, the story is so stupid. So I guess I have a little bit of an issue with this. This is probably my least favorite scene in the whole movie. Just, I never skip it or anything, but this is probably my least favorite part of this movie, because it's just so, the story she tells makes no sense from all angles. It doesn't fit into the continuity of Jason character, and her just waking up in her bed. It's just dumb. Like, if it were a dream, fine, but I mean, it was supposed to have happened, and whatever. So it's funny how in part two and three there's VW bugs, but they both don't start for shit. Of course, this one they kill the battery, but it's funny how it's an ongoing theme. I'm sure Volkswagen loved their representation in Friday 13th 2 and 3. Here's the hippies who just smoke pot and sleep. And this guy, my dad always thought this was funny. I don't think we watched it very often, but I can remember watching part 3 with my dad at one point, and him just kind of laughing at the barefootedness of this hippie guy just going out into the outhouse with the bare feet. It's just like, yeah, he's a hippie. It's funny how when I was a teenager and I used to watch this, I always used to think this guy was so much older because, I don't know, I guess his beard or something. But he's probably younger there than I am now. But your second toilet scene of this movie. And they never wipe. Now, incidentally, when I was a teenager, I didn't really think chili was very attractive at all, but that's since changed. Okay, famous line coming up. I'm going to try to regale you guys. Heavy shit. Yeah, we don't wipe in the Friday the 13th franchise. Well, yeah, I don't know if he did what he needed to, what he went in there to do or not. It's just kind of, we don't know. Who cares? Oh. Jin, 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 jin. This scare I always thought's funny. So this is now you can see very clearly breath. So even when they're filming in California, they're still plagued with the breath out of people's mouths at night. My dad always thought this shot was funny. Her sticking her head in with the joint in her. Oh my god! I mean, I guess you could if you were to make figures of Chuck and Chili, you'd do a 2-pack. I guess. I suppose you could do a 2-pack of Shelly and Vera. Obviously, a 2-pack of Chris and Rick, and yeah. So I guess a 2-pack of uh, what's the name of? Yeah, I'm trying to think of the couple that are having sex right now. Debbie and oh hell, whatever. Andy, Andy and Debbie. I wonder why the hell they did that detail of having Debbie, with child. I wonder what the hell the point of that was. Isn't it weird? I mean, it's something that's just mentioned a couple times at the beginning of the movie, and then okay, now I gotta admit, in my older years, looking at her rump right there, oh my god. It's so funny how when I was a teenager, I don't know, I just regarded this couple as being just old or something, but you gotta love that rump these days. I'm gonna make Vera love me by terrorizing her. Shelly's like the US government. All right, cinema history. That'll teach you a beautiful lesson. Beautiful girl like you should never go in the wood dark alone. Why do you do these stupid things? I have to. No, you don't have to. Just want you to like me. I do like you. Not when you're acting like a jerk. Being a jerk is better than being a nothing. I never said you were nothing. You don't have to say it. I can tell. And Taboo says the Andy figure could stand on his hands would be cool. Yeah, I mean the possibilities with Friday the 13th victim figures are endless. Um they're just endless. And in the case of Andy, I mean, you could have like a before and after death figure because you know how his corpse is like split in two and just shoved into the rafters. I mean, you could have an Andy after his life has expired figure as well, and there's just possibilities are endless. And I got to admit, when I think about it and talk about it, I'm definitely geeking out. Wade Wilson says pro-abortion message. Yeah, well, very well could be. And Taboo's cracking up over here so hard. I'm pleased. Wade Wilson says he doesn't like the fact that they made the one woman pregnant. Yeah, for me it doesn't really bother me one way or another because these are fictional characters, but it does make you wonder, as I said, why they did it. So when I was a kid, 12 and 13 and stuff, I was so frustrated that you couldn't get a hockey mask because back then you couldn't get a hockey mask that anywhere approximated the hockey masks in the movies. I mean, if you were, going to Halloween stores, and it's even the same way now to a certain extent, but you can find stuff now even at stores that are much more, you know, much more like the screen used masks. But in the late 80s, early 90s, if you were trying to get a hockey mask, you just get this generic ass. I'm pretty sure they still sell these generic ass white plastic things that are supposed to be like a hockey mask that no way resemble the ones in the movie here. Now, this scene is like, as Vera looks at the photo of Shelly and his mom and Shelly's wallet, it's like, is she warming up to Shelly? Like, is she gonna, if they were to both live, would something have happened that night? We will never know. Yeah, Taboo. Yeah, he experienced the same thing. I don't know why it was so difficult in the 80s to make a hockey mask, for a company to make a hockey mask that approximated what was in the movies. Now, this is, speaking of movies, this is movie history right here. This is movie history. Jason Voorhees, first time on screen hockey mask, coming with a harpoon. And it's unfortunate she's out of focus there. They're focused on the water behind her. It's a bummer. It can never be fixed. Cut that out right now. That's not funny. One down, more to go. I always thought the way he turned to walk right there was kind of clunky, just like Galumphing, but that's okay. Now in 3D, that little barn or whatever the hell that's got the leaves on the roof there, it's clearly right in front of you. That's really cool. That shot's really cool in 3D. Now we've got the four-legged monster. Oh wait, never mind. It was the best one yet. Was it you, me, or the hammock? I vote for me. I vote for the hammock. Wade says the Beth death scene is coming up. Oh, okay. Here's your kind of abbreviated toplessness in part 3. I kind of, as much as the you know as much as I don't want to be teased, I kind of almost admire how the toplessness is done in this movie, where it's it's not shoved in your face. It's kind of just there, and if it happens, it happens. I kind of like how that's done, where it's not like, do you want a beer or not? It's not evident, but it's there. I think it's done in a kind of classy way. Like right there, I mean, you see him, and if you've got, Blu-ray, obviously you can pause in slow-mo, but it's kind of cool how they just, they're not hiding them, but they're also not flaunting them. It's too bad with that machete through between the legs. It's almost, somehow they almost wish they could have embellished that more or something, slow-moed it, or just kept showing it over from different angles. I don't know. It kind of almost happened too fast, but that's okay. You gotta love it anyway. Since not a whole lot's going on right now. Yeah, Verisimilitude says they remember growing up in the 90s, there was no merch for the franchise. Now there's heaps of stuff that I own. I know. I mean, if they had the stuff now that they, or stuff then that they do now, I mean, I would have been a much happier kid, but that's okay. I got through adolescence. Taboo says, Nate, what size TV do you watch it on, or do you just use projection? Right now, it's just I'm watching this right now on I don't know what the hell this is. 35 or something. But the TV that's 3D, I can't remember. I think it's 45 inches. the TV I have that's 3D, and then I have a projector as well for, and my 5.1 is basically goes with the projector setup, and I've got no idea how big the projection on the wall gets. It's huge. I just fill up the whole wall, and but yeah, it's funny how when you're a kid, like I don't know, the women like this one, this character didn't necessarily do a whole hell of a lot for me, but the older I get, it's like the sexier the women get. Of course, that's because I'm getting older, and in the movies, these women are staying the same age. But 25 years with Godzilla. That's funny how they put them on the World Trade Centers there. Like that never happened. There's a famous, you know, tribute to the Kevin Bacon death, and here's the sex crazed fiend. She wants to stop halfway back to the place and get naked and have some sex, but she's not having it. Now, once again, even you guys with Anaglyph can experience this, the 3D popcorn, which is fun. It's even better in the real 3D Blu-ray, but even Anaglyph, you can get the idea. I love the dialogue between them right here. Probably Debbie having an orgasm. How come you don't scream when we have sex? Give me something to scream about. And then how the lights go out, and she's like, "Eh, what's the matter? Nothing, just practicing." Well, don't do that to me. I mean, some of the some of the humor is actually funny, which I guess is the point of the humor. Verisimilitude says I need to watch this on my 3D projector soon. Yeah, if you've got the 3D projector and a Blu-ray player and the 3D disc, you definitely have to watch it in 3D soon. It's I'm just eternally grateful to Scream Factory for putting the I part of me thought this would never come out on 3D Blu-ray or Blu-ray 3D, whatever the way it's said, and I'm so grateful, because unlike a lot of 3D movies, I can actually watch this, the actual Blu-ray 3D on a 3D TV all at once without stopping. Usually with 3D movies, I like do the first half or something, or take a break and finish it. But with Friday 3 and on the 3D TV, I can do the whole thing at once, which really speaks to I guess how good the 3D is, and how it's not always, it's not always a strain. Like sometimes things are just kind of normal and in subtle 3D, and it's really in a lot of ways, the perfect 3D movie, because it's got a lot of pop out, but then some scenes, are just subtle, and it's just a great combination of 3D. Now, because they set up Shelly, I love how this scene plays out when the audience knows Shelly is actually in trouble as he comes in the door asking for help, and she's like, "Stop fooling around, man." And it's like, dun, and Harry Manfredini's violins there are just awesome when Shelly, Jin, 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 Jin. That's better. Oh, just for a few seconds. Oh. Oh my God. This is a delightful movie. What's going on? I said that early. And get up. Shelly, enough is enough. Clunk. So it's very possible that the music up until this point is just recycled music, primarily from the first two movies. And I think at this point of the movie, this is where I think more or less Harry Manfredini does like new stuff here on out, from here to the end of the movie. It would be very common after the second movie for them to just recycle, music from the first two or movies, and in the case of 4, recycle it from the first 3 movies, and then have Harry do something new for the end. He also did something new for the beginning of Final Chapter, but hot poker. But yeah. Now I think everyone is dead. And so obviously another thing to note for this particular movie is obviously the first 2 movies, a big part of the movies were, the for ambiance and mood and stuff was the rain. Obviously, I would imagine that they nixed the rain for 3 because it was just hard enough to film with no rain in 3D. So just to add rain to the mix would have been just impossible or very difficult. One, you obviously it would be really cool to see the rain in 3D if they backlit it so all the drops were, but that's my assumption as to why there's no rain in 3, because it's already a pain in the ass to film because it's in 3D. But I do kind of like the break from the rain, and there one thing they did do is have, as what's his name says, Rick says, this wind sure came up. So at least they kind of did a half of a storm by having a storm without, the wind without the rain. So it is kind of atmospheric to have the wind come up, I guess. Once again, I appreciate everyone for showing up live, and my apologies for not being able to. Well, I'm able to, but for not looking so much at chat. But the movie would just be over by the time I looked away from chat if I looked at it for too long. I should do a line here to sync anyone who might be watching it with me up. Well, Paul just heard Paul. Well, that's his real name. Rick just heard a sound right there. And how cool is like that? I don't know, that cinematography effect of like putting that fake fire light kind of on the walls and stuff. That really is cool too. So is everything all right? And we're just revealed the character of Rick being whatever, held hostage by Jason. I'll sync you guys up with the eyeball sound effect here for the eyeball thing as it approaches. So she shuts the door. It's like, boing. Before Nike was Nike. Yeah, verisimilitude kind of has the reverse effect that I've been experiencing with 3D. He says he used to like part 3 a lot more, and as he gets older, he doesn't like the characters as much. And I was kind of the same way, 10 years ago. And it's like, for some reason, the more I watch it now, it's like I'm liking part 3 more. So that's just interesting how that works with people and their individual tastes and stuff. I don't know. Maybe, like I say, that my liking of part 3's kind of increased since the Scream Factory collections come out. So it could be due to actually being able to see it in the actual 3D, and the new 2D version of the new scan is so much nicer than it's ever been presented before. And the character of Chris, her face is just very nice in this movie. So she just found the bloody clothes in the tub, and she's just running outside in the wind to look for Rick, and she can't decide whether to put her sleeves up or put them down. And just like they've already done an homage to the first Friday the 13th film with the death of Debbie, they're going to do the same thing here with, is it Loco coming down from the trees right about... Yes. And obviously, if you're looking at it in 3D, he's kind of out further from the screen than Chris is, which is a cool gimmick. And even though they don't do the rain, they really got the wind machine going there. They're whipping the leaves around and stuff. So that does add, a cool atmosphere, even if you don't have the rain. And to be honest, I mean, third movie, I guess it's kind of cool to switch it up and have a rainless windstorm, I guess. It's switching it up a little bit. But I do love the way this particular building is furnished for this movie. I don't know if it was just furnished this way, and they just went in and filmed, or if this was furnished this way for the movie. But, the building that they're filming in, I just love all the, I don't know, just the lamps and the furnishings and stuff of this particular building. And it's crazy to think that they're going to rebuild this building, and probably because Camp Novi-Bosco was probably doing so well with their tours, they figure they can make some money with some Friday the 13th fans on the other, on the West Coast, and make some money on Friday the 13th fans in California by doing Friday the 13th Part 3 tours or something if they rebuild the building. Once again, I mean, kind of cool, kind of lame, because it's, not the real place. And Jason is revealed. As the trailer says, these are Jason's woods, or something to that effect. Now, obviously in 3D, this book attack barrage works fantastically well as well. I mean, just so many things they came up with to utilize the 3D. Yeah, Wade Wilson says Part 5 is entertaining at some parts, and the fake Jason killer has some brutal kills. Yeah, Part 5, when I was younger in the early 90s and stuff, was, not as liked by fans as it is now. And, since in the several years, that have transpired since the early 90s, I mean, I myself have grown to love it for what it is. And I think a lot of fans have lightened up on it as well. Friday 5 was kind of, not so loved in the 80s and 90s, just like Halloween 3. And both of those sequels have since garnered, much more, what's it called? Just, positive, Jesus, I can't think of what the hell I'm saying. People have become much more accepting of Halloween 3 and Friday 5 since the 80s and 90s. Time can do that, Time can make you appreciate what you should have appreciated all along. But at the same time, you can understand, the disappointment of fans right after the release of Halloween 3 and Friday 5, because they're like, well, Halloween 3 wasn't marketed as a Michael Myers movie, but I mean, Friday 13th 5, I can understand the disappointment with the way that movie turns out. So she's gonna break the chair through the window here, sync you guys up. Climbing out. Yeah, the more I watch this, the more I really love that flickery light effect they do on the bottom floor there with the fireplace is. And another thing about movies that I think are so funny, being a fire enthusiast, like I like campfires and fires in the wood burning stove and stuff, is how fires just burn and nonstop on their own in movies without having to add wood. It's just funny. But even in these outdoor shots of the mayhem with Chris and Jason, like, you can see in the window and see the flickering and stuff. So that's just really cool, even though it's like fake flickering. It might as well just be real. Now, I think Scream Factory fixed something here. In one of these shots after Jason gets clunked, there used to be a shot that had all kinds of spots and stuff on it. Where the hell was it? It might have been right here when he's grabbing at her, and the spots are gone. So they might have put an effort in to clear up them spots, which if they did, it's much appreciated. But I think every version I've seen it until the Scream Factory one had like spots on that one shot. Taboo says, "Yeah, I love 1 through 5 the most." Yeah, for me, it goes, from 1 to 7, but that's cool. I understand. For me, my love of 7 comes from, it was the most recent movie at the time when I discovered the franchise. And it was, I think, Friday's the seventh movie was probably the first one I ever saw. So, and then I kind of went backwards, and then 6 was because as a 12-year-old, you're like, well, the most recent ones are going to be the best because they're the most recent. And that was my mindset at the time. So, the thing I love, the reason I have such a fondness for 6 and 7 is because those were the ones I watched the most when I was 12. But I mean, also the way Jason is portrayed, I think the character of Jason in 6 and 7 is really cool. And for the first time, in 6, it's like the first time where Jason's really become a character where we just see him like all the time, because up until 6, he's been just basically hands that kill people, and he's not revealed until the end. Whereas 6 and 7, he's just this main character who you just see on screen often. That was the Jason breaking the glass with his face. So once again, I appreciate everyone showing up, and I can see in the corner of my eye that every time the chat skips up, and I just feel bad not reading it, but oh well. Perhaps you guys are enjoying conversations amongst yourself. You got to admit they did they took advantage of this location in this barn, and took advantage of what they had, and tried to make a whole, well, didn't try, they made this whole final act in the barn here where it's cat and mouse and hide and seek, and the music, incidentally, right here, the music that's going on, in particular when the camera starts to like track back and go up, like the violins, it's like, I don't know if it's like a bass violin or what the hell's being played, but looks like he hit his head there, possibly, I don't know. But right around here it's like, it's just Harry Manfredini's contribution to the franchise is very appreciated, I'll tell you that. Wonder how many times they had to do this where he's ripping shit apart and reset everything, because it seems like later on here he really ripped stuff apart, and I don't even know if it could necessarily be, reset and put back together. I don't know. It seems like almost a one take situation, I think, coming up here. It's a high shot from Chris's point of view of Jason pulling shit. This stuff can all be reset, but later on here, let's see, he's pulling shit. Okay, Chris is, I don't know what the hell, I guess she's thinking she can escape while he's trashing the place. Okay, so here, this is where, okay, that stuff can be replaced. What am I thinking of that can't be replaced? Oh, like the chair breaks. So I guess you can put that together. So here's Chris's crotch coming at you in 3D. This bit coming up here is interesting. The first time I saw this in widescreen is when the DVD came out, and you never used to be able to see Jason there on the left trying to pull the machete that stuck from the wood. That was the first time I ever saw that, was after the first DVD came out, and it was just so fun to see that, because in the pan and scan version, they just, the camera's focused, or the image is focused on Chris on the right side of the frame, and you couldn't see, for the first, I don't know, almost 20 years of the movie's existence on home video, you couldn't see him trying to pull the stuck machete out of the wood. Clunk. Jason just got hit in the head to sync anyone up who might be watching this with this audio. Yeah, admittedly, Seven isn't a great movie, but I think by the time they got to Seven, it almost had to just. I kind of like the Seven. It has a very. By the time they get to Seven, it has a very. Oh, what the hell word am I looking for? It's just like exploitative nature about it, where they're just killing people right and left, and they're introducing people right and left to kill, like the two couple, the birthday boy and his girlfriend, and then that other guy camping out in the woods with it. I mean, it's just like they're killing people right and left, and Seven is just, such a guilty pleasure. It's arguably not a great masterwork of cinema, but let's face it. I mean, Kane Hodder's first Jason, the Part 7 Jason, just the look is just, oh my god, classic. And no, unfortunately, we're not going to get to 7 tonight, but I do feel like if any of you are, well, even if you don't feel up to it, I do feel like I'm probably going to, do final chapter tonight if anyone is interested, and directly after this, if anyone is interested in listening to me babble on about that. I do like that realistic aspect of Chris having a hard time undoing that big piece of wood there. That's a little bit of realism that's thrown in, that's appreciated by me. Every year she gets younger and younger, doesn't she? As we get older. She's just cutie face. Speaking of cutie face, you. Look at her eyes. That's so funny. She's like going crazy now, like this guy can't be killed. But fortunately for us, motherfucker. And Jason ain't wasting his time with this guy. He's just gonna hack him to little bits and pieces here. Now it's a bummer. Look at how light this axe looks. I mean, oh my god, it's like completely hollow plastic. I don't know why they couldn't have had her lift up a. Well, that's because this whole shot is one continuous shot that they just cut in and out of, I guess. But I would have had her lift up a real axe because it looks so phony. But that's okay. Now, obviously, in 3D, this bit is very fun. And like I say, even Anaglyph will give you the idea, and the axe coming right out of screen, even in Anaglyph works. So. Yeah, Rooster brings up the alternative ending with Chris getting her head chopped off, which I guess I don't know. I'm still confused whether that was. I don't think it was filmed, but I mean, I know I've seen that behind the scenes picture. I don't know, but yeah, that would be definitely interesting for us fans to see if anything was filmed. But even if it was, it probably doesn't exist anymore, I wouldn't imagine. Rooster says, I love the look of Jason in Part 7. Yeah, that's one of the redeeming things about 7. Also, that whatever the hell that blonde's name is who takes a skinny dip as well, seeing that scene as well. But I also love, obviously we'll get into this when I do 7, but I also love Lara Park Lincoln in 7. She's just so cute now. When I was 12 and 13, I didn't think she was cute at all. It's just so funny how your perceptions change as you change. I'll do something here to sync you guys up if anyone's watching along with me, or make sure or confirm our sync. Quack, 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 quack. No, I do think this part is fun where, and I think they do it in a good way where they have him do something like rip the door off so they can make it clearly evident that, when she wakes up or comes out of it or whatever and sees that the door is on there, that it was just in her mind. I think that was some decent movie making done there. Okay, so the door comes off. So obviously, when we cut back to it and see that it's on there, we know that all this was in her mind, which is a hell of a bit of, there you go, movie making, movie making 101. And of course, this obviously, there's several times in this movie where they pay homage to the first movie, and this is actually the thing that makes no sense about this is Chris has no history or even knowledge of Jason or his mother, so that makes absolutely no sense. That's another thing about this movie that makes no sense, that goes along with Chris's little story, you know, of her run-in with Jason. The idea of Jason's mom coming out of the lake, I mean, obviously the viewer, if they've seen the first movie, they understand it, but whatever. It's just one of those things that doesn't really necessarily work. I mean, I do like the makeup of the woman and the just the dark no eyes in the head and stuff like that. And I think there's a figure of that, of the part three um Mrs. Voorhees, is a NECA figure, I think. God, there's so many freaking figures. It's just like Uh-oh, I ruined it for Taboo. He says, I never noticed the X being very light till you mentioned it. Now you've ruined it for me forever. Shit. Oh, no. I hope he's kidding, but he might be half kidding and half serious. Yeah, that's one thing I almost feel like I shouldn't mention goofs that I've noticed because, oh, well. I mean, I enjoy the movie thoroughly, even though I can see it's light. The axe is full of air, a helium axe. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, verisimilitude brings up a decent point. He never liked Chris because she vetoed so much in the movie because of her religious beliefs, including the alternate ending. And in the apparently there was dialogue of them having sex or having made love that she didn't want to do either. Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. I mean, I'm not much for religious minded people either, but I mean, you gotta like her face. That's completely understandable. Yeah, he also says in part three, Jason is never mentioned by name, not to mention frickin' Mrs. Voorhees, who made an appearance, which makes no sense. Oh, good. Taboo says I was kidding. Oh, wow. Matt Haggerty says I'm here. Yeah, we're going to end this because we just finished Friday the 13th, part three, but I'm going to end this stream and then I'm going to start a new one for Final Chapter. Unlike the radio shows, this is not one where I really look at chat too much. So it's like you guys can talk among yourselves more or less, and I'm going to keep my eyes on the screen. These are kind of more or less commentaries of me watching the movie and just giving my thoughts because this is my favorite franchise of all time. So it's not so much of a discussion between chat and myself. I kind of glance at chat. Um, but mostly I guess you guys can just share your thoughts for anyone else who might be looking at chat. But I do feel bad like not really reading chat, you know. But I guess if you want to talk shit about me, this is a good time to do it because I might not see it. But I appreciate you being here. But once these credits are done and the credits are now rolling, I will end this stream and set up the stream to watch Final Chapter, and we will get Final Chapter going, and then after Final Chapter, I will call it a night. Yeah, this isn't like a normal radio show per se. It's like a different newfangled thing where it's like I watch stuff and kind of like a commentary, if you will. The radio shows will probably resume when the weather gets shit again. I got so burnt out on reading chat, like I need a break from reading chat, and I got burnt out from reading chat. Like the frickin' 2 to 3 conversations going on at once and stuff. I appreciate everyone, who shows up at the show and when I was doing the show and stuff like that. But you can understand where I'm coming from too. But credits are almost over here. Gonna be ending this stream and give me some time to set up the stream for the final chapter and um, give you guys a chance to set up your Blu-rays or DVDs or VHSs or beta tapes of final chapter to watch along with if you so choose. So thanks everyone for joining me for Friday 13th part 3, and we'll see you in a couple minutes for Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Matt says I left you guys hanging. You mean by not doing any, by taking a break on radio shows? I guess that's true.